A lucky boy gained the ability to cross dimensions during a chance trip, so what kind of journey will this boy have next? Chapter 1. Magical Hot Springs. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A nostalgic alley, the water droplets from old light signs falling on the flower bed, ticking away, they are tears from the blue sky. A slightly dilapidated cottage in the alley, with a messy and beautiful interior that stands out from a young man in a blue casual suit. The young man has silver-white short hair and sky-colored pupils. Oh, alright, I got it. Don't rush anymore. As the phone hung up, the boy carried a green travel bag and walked out of this beautiful cabin. It looks like the rain has just stopped, but it just happened. My favorite feeling is this kind of feeling. The cool wind accompanied by a gentle drizzle gently blew on the young man's face. Let's go have breakfast first. Lao Zhangbaozi shop is a truly time-honored brand from the perspective of its storefront. The boy came to the steamed bun shop and thought for a while, then he said, Uncle Zhang, 2 steamed buns and a cup of soybean milk. Yo, isn't this Xiaoya? She's willing to go out. Why don't she stay at home all day if she goes out more? Your bun costs 3 yuan, he said as he handed the boy the bun in his hand. The young man who had paid walked to the bus stop and waited for the bus. The boy's name is Yu Zhao and he is a painter. Normally, he doesn't go out, but this time it's different. A junior high school classmate invited him to travel together, saying it's been a long time since we last met. The place I visited this time is Wenlan Mountain, which is known as the tourist holy land and is covered in white snow all year round. There is a village on the mountainside. This village is the destination, with hot springs and snacks almost everywhere in the village. After waiting for Yu Zhao to get in the car, he opened his phone. Because the distance was too far, the boy put on his headphones and started watching the anime. This month's new anime is a different world anime. And the blue slime inside is the protagonist. Chased for about an hour and arrived at the destination. As soon as Yu Zhao got off the car, he saw a group of young people at the foot of the mountain. The leader was tall, and handsome. Behind him was a relatively chubby young man, and the most eye-catching among them was a woman. She wore a conservative single ponytail dress, but it couldn't conceal her figure. She looked like a neighboring sister with a charming expression. This woman Yu Zhao knows her by the name Pan Yao. She was the class belle in middle school and was pursued by many people because of her good looks and gentle personality. After reading it, Yu Zhao walked towards the crowd, and the leader also saw him. The leader reached out to greet Yu Zhao and said, "This way, you're coming slowly enough. Now let's all set off and go soak in the hot springs." Although Wenlan Mountain is a tourist holy land, there are also many legends. For example, during heavy snowfall, a woman will appear in the snow. She is not afraid of the cold and will wave to the person who sees her to signal him to come over. When someone passes by, she will lose her consciousness and eventually turn into a pile of snow. Of course, there is another theory that a woman got lost in the snow because she was weak and the snow was too strong. Eventually, the woman fell into the snow, and her soul lingered for a long time, sometimes turning into a twisted woman hoping that passers-by could see her and help her. And the person who helped her warmed the woman with his kindness in his heart, and in the end, the woman turned into a puddle of water. For example, the snow ape, whose body is covered in snow with crimson eyes, would mercilessly go up and smash people. Therefore, in addition to travelers, there are also some discussion groups on supernatural events or experts approaching science who come here to interview. In front of Yu Zhao and his team is a discussion group. They came here seeking excitement, hoping to find the legendary woman and snow ape. The village is located halfway up the mountain, and due to the impressive height of Wenlan Mountain, even the highest point has plunged into the clouds. Although there is a small path built by the locals, it is estimated that it will take half a night for everyone to reach the village. During the mountain climbing, everyone discussed for a long time, and the most common one was that Yu Zhao didn't attend middle school after finishing it. They were very curious about Yu Zhao's days entering society. Although this group of people may seem mature, they are ultimately a group of high school students who have never experienced working days, so they have a full curiosity. Yu Zhao just wanted to say that he was very tired of this. As a newcomer to society, he tried to find several jobs, and the salary was decent due to age issues. The salary difference was already reasonable, but the boss tried every means to deduct the salary. As for a good job, let alone a good one. He chose to be a painter in the middle school club, but because he also enjoys watching anime, this kind of life is not bad. After listening to Yu Zhao's description, everyone felt very sorry for this former classmate. On the way, Yu Zhao also mentioned her own problem because she had not been in contact with them for a long time, which resulted in many people forgetting their names. And the big guy also took the initiative to serve as his introducer. The big guy's name is Lu Hao, the chubby young man's name is Jin Jiang, and the Banhua Yu Zhao knows him. As for the others, there is also a frail girl with eyes and a tall but thin man. These two are classmates from Lu Hao High School. The man's name is Yuan Zhuang, and the weak woman's name is Lu Yan. I don't know if it's an illusion that Yu Zhao feels like Yuan Zhuang is very hostile towards him. As evening approached, everyone chatted and saw the village, but a new challenge emerged. The road ahead is blocked by a big tree, and taking a detour will take some time. Everyone plans to camp on site. After all, they are here to climb the mountain, and there are also tents and grills that should be available. After the tent was set up and the grill was set up, Pen Yao took out some meat from her bag, Lu Yan was a vegetable, and Yu Zhao took out a few bottles of Feijai happy water. Everyone was eating grilled meat and talking about their hearts. At around 8 o'clock, they discussed taking turns guarding the night to prevent any wild animals or the like from happening here. Although Wenlan Mountain, which has been transformed into a tourist destination, has undergone a renovation once, I don't know why it stopped halfway through the renovation. I decided to stay up late just in case. Yu Zhao is a night owl, and sometimes he is used to staying up late to chase fans. He chooses the first one to watch the night, followed by Lu Hao, Jin Jiang, and Yuan Zhuang. Because the night watch was a tiring job, they had no intention of having girls come from the beginning. However, the girl Lu Yan still came to accompany Yu Zhao. According to her, she felt a bit embarrassed to be taken care of by others. Yu Zhao, who was watching the movie, didn't care either. He couldn't control or want to control what others wanted to do. At this moment, Lu Yan, who had been silent all along, looked at Yu Zhao and said, "Do you really enjoy watching anime? I see that as long as you rest or stay up late like this all the way, you will take out your phone to watch anime." Upon hearing this, Yu Zhao also paused the anime. He looked up and saw Lu Yan's curious eyes, answering her curiosity seriously. "Perhaps you may be strange, but for me, I really want to experience everything the characters in the anime have gone through. Perhaps it's because my life is not very exciting, there are no particularly joyful things, no thrilling adventures, and no one who loves you wholeheartedly. Therefore, I can only feel those experiences, those sweet loves, and immerse myself in the anime. Perhaps you will think I am very childish." Upon hearing Yu Zhao's serious answer, Lu Yan's initial curiosity shifted to understanding. The conversation between the two was only for a moment, and when it was time for a job change, Yu Zhao went back to sleep. At night, Yu Zhao had a very strange dream. In the dream, there was a hot spring. The area of the hot spring was not very large, but it was very hidden and deep, deep and bottomless. He looked at the hot spring in front of him and felt as if a voice was calling out to him, come on, my child." Yu Zhao wanted to leave immediately, but an inexplicable magic attracted him closer. It was too late for him to come back to his senses, and no matter how hard he tried to escape, he could only stand still. After regaining consciousness, she was already shaken awake by Lu Yan. Looking at Lu Yan in front of her, she didn't know if she had an illusion that the corners of her eyes seemed red. At this moment, Lu Yan didn't care much anymore. She took Yu Zhao's hand and said to him, a group of wolves came outside just now. Lu Hao and his team were fighting against the wolves, and it took a lot of effort to drive them away, but Lu Hao was also injured as a result. Yu Zhao, who was holding hands, didn't react at all, but when she heard Lu Yen talking about wolves, she expressed her doubts. Wolves. How could wolves appear here? According to reason, wolves should be deeper, and there are often hunters patrolling the village here, so wolves probably won't come either. But now is not the time to think about these things. Just now, Lu Yen also said that Lu Hao was injured. The two people who came to see Lu Hao's injuries were also frightened. Lu Hao's right hand and left leg both have large pieces of skin that have been torn off, and his abdomen has also been scratched by the wolf's claws. The bright red plum blossoms fall on the snow, with a strange beauty. Unable to tolerate Yu Zhao's overthinking, he took out alcohol, cotton swabs, and bandages from his backpack. After carefully wiping the wound for Lu Hao, he carefully wrapped up the injured area. Seeing Yu Zhao's skillful movements, Lu Hao asked, "Why haven't I seen you learn these before? And who is a serious person wearing bandages? Usually, they are all band-aids." He certainly didn't know. When Yu Zhao used to work, he often got injured. At that time, no one helped him, he had to learn on his own. However, Yu Zhao had no intention of telling Lu Hao that he might have to be pitted again. So after a moment of contemplation, Yu Zhao replied, "I often fall easily. Once, I broke a bone, and I was afraid of getting injured again, so I deliberately learned it." This reason obviously cannot convince Lu Hao, but he also had no intention of asking and saying to others, "These wolves may still come later. We need to quickly change positions, otherwise we will suffer." Everyone felt it was reasonable to start packing their things, but things always went against their wishes. The group of wolves came again, and the leading wolf seemed to have changed. It was a more robust wolf, appearing to be the Wolf King. Everyone was ready for a deadly battle at the moment they saw the wolf. The accompanying gunshot broke the deadlock between the two sides, and the wolf pack heard the gunshot and began to flee. Everyone looked towards the gunshots and saw a group of hunters, who looked like hunters from the village. Only after learning about the other person's identity did everyone feel relieved. The following negotiations made them aware of some things, such as the big tree blocking the way being struck by a lightning bolt. For example, hunters knew that this tree would affect people, so they took a small path out. The hunter took them along the path while talking. Of course, one of them caught Yu Zhao's attention. According to the hunter, there was once a magical hot spring in the mountains. The water in the hot spring could cure all kinds of diseases, and even Lu Hao's injuries could be instantly healed by drinking a sip of spring water. But they haven't seen or just heard of it, but it's enough to make Yu Zhao pay attention. Is it a magical hot spring? Chapter 2. Insidious People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hunter brother saw Lu Hao's injury and said, "Speaking of which, your luck is really bad. You've actually encountered a wolf in this area. We have to go deep into the forest to see if we want to kill a deer." As Yu Zhao said, because this area has been renovated once, coupled with the surrounding area, not to mention wolves, even animals are difficult to see. However, at the same time, he also noticed someone. Yuan Zhuang made Yu Zhao feel that something was wrong, and the hostility at first meeting was inexplicable. Later, when the wolf appeared, everyone else was very scared and panicked, but he was very calm, as if he had already known that a wolf would appear. But it's just suspicion, maybe they have this kind of personality. After a period of time, everyone finally arrived at the village, but they did not go to soak in hot springs. Instead, they took Lu Hao to the local hospital as soon as possible. After a thorough examination, Lu Hao's injury was not a major concern and he needed to rest, but he should not touch water. This made him very uncomfortable. He came here originally to soak in hot springs, but not only did he get injured but he couldn't go into the water. The final result was that Lu Hao watched them soak in hot springs. After everyone finished soaking, they still couldn't forget to sigh, "Oh my, the hot springs here are really comfortable. Yeah, it's definitely right to come here." Unfortunately, someone couldn't experience it. Lu Hao was already depressed when he heard these words and broke through his defense on the spot. "Fatty guy, you say it again, believe it or not, I'll spank you." Upon hearing this, Jin Jiang quickly said, "Oh Haoga, don't be discouraged. Although you can't soak in hot springs, you can still play in the snow and have hot pot and barbecue. The village is said to be a tourist destination, with hot springs and hot pot barbecue. The cuisine here has a world-renowned reputation, and when Yu Zhao and his companions came to the restaurant, they were called the world-renowned delicacies. However, the price was also somewhat unsatisfactory, and Yu Zhao felt a little embarrassed looking at the prices on the menu. Where did he get the money as a poor painter? A course of shredded pork and green pepper will cost 50, and braised pork belly will cost 85. It is said that the tourists are fat sheep. The local people are crazy about killing them, but he just heard about it. I have finally seen it now." At this moment, Pan Yao, who had been silent all along, seemed to notice Yu Zhao's embarrassment and said, "Just order whatever you want. I'll treat this meal to you. I'm sorry to have been taken care of by you all the way." Seeing Pan Yao say so, Yu Zhao finally felt relieved. But Yuan Zhuang beside him was not happy anymore. He looked at Yu Zhao with a strong hostility in his eyes and said, "Everyone, although Pan Yao's family is indeed good, it doesn't mean she should pay the bill. The only one among us who can make money on our own is also the most capable of paying the bill. Do you think so, Senior Yu Zhao?" Yue Zhao, who was inexplicably pushed onto the grill, looked at Yuan Zhuang. He really didn't know when he had offended Yuan Zhuang, and his previously relieved heart was lifted again. Everyone knows that Yu Zhao's life is not very wealthy, and he even eats instant noodles for a month, which is a bit extravagant even to eat a normal bowl of food. This is also what Yu Zhao said before. I haven't said it yet, but I'm afraid he's insecure. But now if he comes to pay the bill, what should he do next? Is it difficult to wait until death? They don't want to embarrass Yu Zhao, who was originally happy to travel. Because of this, Yuan Zhuang's actions also made everyone dissatisfied. Lu Yen said, "Yuan Zhuang, don't go too far. You know." "What do you know?" "I only know that making a girl pay is not what a man should do." Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhuang said disdainfully. After some contemplation, Yu Zhao decided that he would be the one to pay for it. He didn't want the originally happy atmosphere to be disrupted. Everyone has tried to persuade, but they were all rejected by Yuan Zhuang for various reasons. When ordering dishes, Yu Zhao only dares to order a single cabbage, and only drinks plain boiled water. On the contrary, Yuan Zhuang ordered the most, regardless of whether he could finish it or not. Yu Zhao also began to think about when she would offend him. Seemingly sensing Yu Zhao's confusion, Jin Jiang approached her and said, "You should be thinking about why he targeted you so badly. In fact, he likes Pan Yao, but you also know Pan Yao's personality, so of course he didn't succeed. But by chance, he heard that Pan Yao had always liked someone." Yu Zhao also understood that at the junior high school meeting, Pan Yao confessed to him, but Yu Zhao didn't agree. He only liked the anime wife and was not interested in Pan Yao. But it was this personality that attracted Pan Yao, and she never gave up pursuing him until graduation. This also explains why in just 1 year after graduation, seeing Pan Yao again, she became so indifferent to Yu Zhao that she didn't even say anything. Perhaps Pan Yao was worried that Yuan Zhuang would target her, so she kept a distance, but even so, Yuan Zhuang had no intention of letting him go. This time, everyone didn't feel so embarrassed to order too many, but because Yuan Zhuang ordered a lot of dishes, everyone was also very full. Looking at the balance of less than 3,000 on the bill, he could only silently pray that the money was enough. After paying the money, Yu Zhao had only 50 left in his balance. While thinking about how to live, someone interrupted him. It was Pan Yao who looked at Yu Zhao with apologetic eyes and said, "I'm sorry, it's all because of me. That guy from Yuan Zhuang went too far. I'll transfer your WeChat account to you. This kind offer was rejected by Yu Zhao. Actually, what he said is right. It's not good to let a girl pay for it, and when it comes to taking care of it, I also received a lot of care along the way. Without waiting for Pan Yao to persuade her to stay, she walked towards the hotel on her own. Looking at Yu Zhao's back, Pan Yao bit her lips lightly and whispered in dissatisfaction, "At least give me WeChat." All of this was also seen by Yuan Zhuang, whose eyes flashed with a hint of imperceptible malice. Yu Zhao, who returned to the hotel, was too tired and went to bed first. In his dream, he saw the hot spring again. This time, he didn't choose to approach and wanted to turn around and leave, but suddenly a figure appeared behind him and pushed him into the hot spring. The figure cannot be seen clearly, but from its appearance, it must be a man. Yu Zhao, who sank into the hot spring, clearly felt a sense of suffocation. Isn't this a dream? How did this suffocation feel? It's so uncomfortable, I can't hold on anymore. Due to a dream, Yu Zhao suddenly woke up in shock. At this moment, he was sweating all over. Recalling the appearance of the man in the dream, he still couldn't see clearly, but he gave people a very familiar feeling. I didn't think too much and glanced at the time. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I felt sweaty and uncomfortable. Yu Zhao was ready to take a shower. At this moment, a piece of paper drifted down from his bedside, and Yu Zhao picked it up and looked at it. A letter to Senior Yu Zhao. Senior Yu Zhao, after being persuaded by several classmates, I realized my mistake. I should not have implicated others due to emotional disputes, nor should I make things difficult for you as a senior. Previously, I was too young and just acted impulsively, but now I want to make a change. I hope you can give me this opportunity. If you agree, I will wait for you in the breakfast area provided by the hotel tomorrow morning at 6:30 Yuan Zhuangliu. The entire content of this letter contains sincere apologies, so Yu Zhao plans to meet once. It's only 2 o'clock now and I can't sleep anymore. Yu Zhao got up, got dressed, pushed open the door of the hotel, and outside, it was gray and he didn't go out all year round. He planned to go for a morning run. Because I have confidence in my physical fitness, my goal is only 2 kilometers. After running, Yu Zhao was so tired that he almost couldn't catch his breath. He struggled to hold on for a while before walking towards the hot spring. He sweated a lot and felt sticky. If he didn't wash, it would be uncomfortable. He decided to take a bath. Looking at his current body, Yu Zhao couldn't help but sigh and say, "My body is really getting weaker and weaker. It seems that I will have to run for a while every morning in the future." After some morning fuss, it has also arrived at 6:20. It's time to meet Yuan Zhuang, Yu Zhao thought to herself. The breakfast hall of the hotel is very rich, including bread, fruit, big cake, deep-fried dough sticks, hand-grasped cakes, and soy sauce cakes. After all, it is a tourist attraction, so it tastes good. He took a hand-grab cake, a cup of soybean milk and 2 deep-fried dough sticks, and Yu Zhao ate them on his own. "Did you come so early, senior?" A voice came. Next came a young man, who was none other than Yuan Zhuang. Seeing that Yuan Zhuang in front of him did not have the same kind of targeting as last night, Yu Zhao felt somewhat relieved. Yuan Zhuang also took his seat across from him and said, "Senior, yesterday I was not very impulsive. It was really inappropriate for me to be involved in some emotional disputes with Senior." Upon hearing the other person's sincere response, Yu Zhao quickly said, "I can understand that it's okay. It's really uncomfortable to like someone but watch them act intimately with another person." At this point, Yuan Zhuang put forward a suggestion. "Senior, in order to make up for your debt, I inquired yesterday. Do you still remember the hunter who took us to the village? He once said that there is a legend that there is a hot spring that can recuperate the body and treat injuries. I only found out about the location of the hot spring from an old man yesterday after some inquiry. How about I take you to soak in it later? After soaking in the hot spring, the younger generation will make up for the money lost by the older generation. This really hit Yu Zhao's difficulties, and it's not an exaggeration for him to say he's penniless now. And he's also quite curious. If the hot springs are really so magical, he also wants to give them a try. So Yue Zhao agreed to Yuan Zhuang's proposal. The location of the hot spring is a relatively distant and hidden cave, with a narrow exterior and a wide interior structure. At the deepest point, a beam of light shines into the cave, and the illuminated area is a hot spring. The hot spring is surrounded by lush greenery, and even several large trees. When Yu Zhao approached and saw it clearly, he found that the hot springs were somewhat similar to those in his dream. This made him instinctively want to stay away. But Yuan Zhuang next to him blocked his way and said, "Senior, do you know that taking you to soak in hot springs is actually a cover-up? Yesterday, Pan Yao did come to me, but she mocked me. She said I am a villain, and I will never be able to compare to you in my whole life. Why is it that I'm not better than you? Why did she fall in love with you, and I didn't even look at you? To be honest with you, Senior, this hot spring is not a magical hot spring that can cure all kinds of diseases, but a hot spring that can eat people." After venting his dissatisfaction, he pushed Yu Zhao into the hot spring. And the old man who introduced hot springs actually said, "There is a hot spring up the mountain, and people who have eaten and soaked in it will slowly disappear, commonly known as the cannibal spring." Chapter 3. Journey to a Different World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Yu Zhao sank into the spring, his consciousness gradually began to blur. After finishing everything, Yuan Zhuang watched helplessly as Yu Zhao sank down. He breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that he had not climbed up. He had no intention of believing that this hot spring was so powerful from the beginning. He still wants to wait for Yu Zhao to climb up and then press him down to drown. As he approached, he found that Yu Zhao had disappeared from the spring and seemed to have sunk to the bottom. This hot spring is really amazing. Returning to the village, Yuan Zhuang found Lu Hao and his companions as if nothing had happened. At this moment, everyone woke up and gathered together as if discussing something. At this moment, Jin Jiang saw Yuan Zhuang returning and said, "Have you seen Yu Zhao?" Upon hearing this, Yuan Zhuang still maintained a calm expression. "I don't know, I had such a scene with him yesterday. How could I go see him today? I guess he's still asleep." "It's impossible, he can't be sleeping. Today I went to his room to find him, intending to comfort him, but I didn't see anyone," Lu Yen said. "Where did you most likely go to relax?" Yuan Zhuang replied nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, everyone also thought it was possible, so they didn't pay much attention. But by noon, we hadn't seen the figure of Yu Zhao before everyone realized something was wrong and started looking for someone. I couldn't find him until evening, and I didn't answer any phone calls. Now there's no car for him to drive on this mountainside. It's impossible for him to walk down the mountain alone without finding anyone. So it is highly likely that the missing person has gone missing, and it may have fallen into some mountain ditch. When people think of this possibility, they start reporting it to the police, but the missing person will not be registered for less than 24 hours. The police didn't start searching until the next day, but unfortunately, the search still failed. Returning to Yu Zhao's perspective, at the moment he fell into the spring, his consciousness became somewhat scattered, but he did not feel the suffocation he had imagined. He slowly sank down, but the spring was too deep to see at a glance. He continued like this, without any sound around him, very quiet. After about 30 minutes, a white light flashed in front of him, and the light grew bigger and bigger. In the end, the entire space was covered in white light. And Yue Zhao also suspended in mid-air, his consciousness slowly recovering, but still very vague. At this moment, a female voice came into his ear, "Child, you have finally arrived." "Who's talking?" he asked with a puzzled attitude. But after taking a glance at the emptiness around him, he began to let go, it seems like I'm already dead, right? How could there be someone at the bottom of the spring? This place is a vast expanse of white, is it the world after death? My child, you haven't died. It was still the female voice, but this voice went straight to his mind. And he also knew clearly that it was not an illusion. Before asking the other party who it was, the screen turned again when Yu Zhao arrived at a grassy area, and he couldn't see anything. On the other side, a fairy-like woman looked at a blue slime in the picture with a slightly raised corner of her mouth and said, "My child, I wish you a good trip." Yu Zhao, who was still in a daze, had no idea what had happened, but the touch under his feet made him clearly feel like it was grass. From time to time, the roar of wild beasts could be heard in the distance, filled with a sense of danger everywhere. Notification. Analyzing body. Analysis completed. This creature is a low-level slime creature with no vision, and can use magic to explore and see clearly. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Yu Zhao immediately remembered that he had seen a character in the new series, and now he must have become that character. If I'm right, you should be called the Great Sage. Notice. The Great Sage has been entered into the database and has now been renamed as the Great Sage. As expected, it seems that I have traveled through time, and according to the plot, I should be in a cave now. As it opened its magic to explore, it began to explore. As I was walking, I came across a piece of grass. Notice, due to the abundant magic in the cave, the plants growing in the cave will have strong magic. These plants can be used to make a 100% recovery potion. Those who have watched anime certainly know what 100% reply potion represents. So it began to crazily gnaw on the land. I accidentally fell into the water. Notice. Skill learned from exposure to water elements. Water blade. In the next few days, the nearby land has been completely eroded by it. So it focused its attention on the monsters in the cave. A huge snake resides in a cave filled with venom, with incredibly sharp teeth and some venom remaining on top. I think those venoms are the masterpieces of this snake. It watched as the big snake lay sleeping there. The big snake should have noticed it, but it didn't take it to heart. After all, it is now slime. There is no one among the weakest monsters. Yu Zhao, who knew this, didn't need to be careful anymore. He secretly charged his water blade and aimed it at the snake's head. Then a curved blade made of water quickly passed over the snake's head with a loud bang, and the snake's head fell down. This big snake probably didn't even know why a slime would be so strong before it died. Watching the big snake go silent, it couldn't conceal its happiness and bounced towards it. Then they began to devour the body of the big snake. Notification. Corpse analysis is in progress. Analysis successful. The body is a venomous snake with strong toxicity and corrosiveness. After devouring it, passive skills such as poison resistance and venom shooting are obtained. As Yu Zhao gradually became stronger, it also began to hunt down some advanced monsters. When the monsters were almost killed, it arrived at the last place. A huge cave. Looking at the cave in front of me, it was full of excitement. Is this the cave of Storm Dragon Varudra? Do I also want to get cheats? Entering the cave, it did not see Varudora. Strange, isn't Varudora here? It shouldn't be. Look at the shape of this cave. Did the plot change or was the timeline incorrect? Holding doubts, it came to the huge pit where Varudra stood, but now there is nothing but the pit. No, there seems to be a bright light underneath. It jumped down without hesitation, and as it sank deeper and deeper, the bright light gradually became clearer. Is this an egg? Look at the size of the egg, it's even bigger than me. Could it be pulled down by Virid? No, I clearly remember he was a male dragon. The Great Sage, analyze this egg. Notice. A mysterious egg with magic that can rival the Demon King. The specific information cannot be deciphered. Can't even the Great Sage decipher it? It's a bit difficult. Yu Zhao touched his chin with his slimy, transformed little hand. While thinking about what to do, a familiar female voice entered its mind. "My child, this is a gift from your mother." The sound suddenly interrupted its train of thought. "Who the hell are you? You will know in the future that you know too much now and there will be trouble. Goodbye, my child." As the female voice disappeared, the surroundings quieted down again. Is it a gift? Who is she? Why does she claim to be my mother, and how does she know what I'm thinking? Anyway, since I was destined to die in the beginning and she gave me a chance to be reborn, now it shouldn't harm me either. So it swallowed the egg in one gulp. Just for a moment, it felt a terrifying magic filling its entire body, but this magic was not completely uncontrollable, but rather gently strengthening her body. Then a beam of light emerged from within, illuminating the entire cave with a powerful light. After the light disappeared, a little girl with white hair and strange pupils slowly landed. The girl has snow-white skin that can be easily broken by a blow, and is about 1.45 meters tall. Her two eyes are one exceptionally luxurious golden, while the other is full of the ocean's aura blue. However, now she has a bewildered expression. What's going on with me? Why would eating an egg turn into this? Hey! After learning about her situation, she collapsed on the ground in a duck-like manner. After a period of time, Yuezhao gradually accepted the idea of becoming a girl. At this point, the great sage gave her good news that she could change her form, such as returning to slime and her original self, but returning to her original self cannot be maintained for a long time. Although she couldn't maintain it for a long time, she was also very satisfied. Although she didn't see Varudra, it didn't prevent her from obtaining cheats. Now she is not exaggerating to say that magic can be compared to the top demon king. Of course, it's just magic. For her, the experience of fighting against a few small monsters is still a combination of surprise attacks and dangerous victories. If you really encounter the demon king, you will definitely be beaten up. Returning to slime form, she followed the feeling and walked to the entrance of the cave. This was a pure iron gate, which was probably as big as her two-person form. According to the direction of the anime plot, there should be 3 people coming in later. After waiting for a while, there was no movement at the door, which left Yuezhao puzzled. It shouldn't be, even if Varudra is not seen, why hasn't anyone opened the door? This isn't the world at all, right? After hesitating for a while, she still decided to open the door and go out. Although I don't know if it would change the plot without the opportunity of those 3 people, it probably wouldn't have much impact if even Varudra was gone. Now she could only comfort herself in this way. After walking a distance, she saw a familiar species fighting against a pack of wolves. Goblin, this is a low-level monster, but it has a certain intelligence. In that anime, goblins are a great race. And she also saw the familiar face. Fortunately, there hasn't been much change. So she decisively joined the battle and swiftly cut off the head of the wolf pack leader, then swallowed it into her stomach. The 2 ethnic groups stopped fighting when they saw how powerful this slime was. Chapter 4. The Sudden Big Ghost Clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The wolf pack did not intend to seek revenge or escape when they saw their leader killed, but instead crawled in front of Yuezhao to show weakness. The opposite goblin tribe was also led by the goblin village chief to kneel down. Chief Goblin spoke up first and said, "Sir Slim, could you please come to our tribe as the leader?" Upon hearing the words of village chief Goblin, Yuezhao also expressed that she had anticipated it long ago. After all, that's how the plot went. And when the wolf pack heard the words of the village chief Goblin, they also expressed this intention. Without a leader, the wolf pack would definitely elect a new leader. Since we are electing a new leader, why not directly let this powerful Slim take over? Seeing that both sides had this intention, Yuezhao said to pair up, consisting of a goblin and a wolf. Let the wolf pack blend directly together. No one has any objection to this. Jokingly, who dares to have an objection? After a while, all the wolf packs moved over because they were low-level monsters without names, so Yu Zhao began to give them names. There is a downside to naming here, which is that the name carries magic, and each time a creature is named, it will consume some of its own magic and transfer it to the creature. But the transferred magic will not disappear and will gradually recover over time. In addition, naming does not only consume magic, but also relatively consumes physical and mental energy. So even if she has demon-level magic and wants to name so many creatures, she has to weigh it carefully. It took about 2 days to pick up all the names. And Yu Zhao was also a bit exhausted. She gave some instructions and then went to sleep. 2 days after waking up again, she stood in front of a tent with 2 creatures, a goblin and a wolf. The one who came was the village chief of Goblin, Ligrud, and the wolf prince, Lanya. Due to their names, there has also been a significant change in their appearance. The village chief, who was originally weak and old, is now even stronger than the young man. He feels like a punch can kill a cow. And Lanya became unusually large, with a long horn growing on his head. In addition, the wolf tribe also has a strong skill to hide in shadows. The village chief came here to see if she had recovered, while Lanya wanted to be her mount. And the village has also undergone significant changes. According to Yu Zhao's previous account, the village has gradually taken the shape of a small town. Looking at the goblins in front of her who were enjoying it tirelessly, she felt happy from the bottom of her heart that she could experience the life of anime. Before, I could only see and not personally experience how uncomfortable it was for her. Speaking of which, I don't know if Yuan Zhuang has been arrested. After all, this is murder. But in such a remote place, it's probably difficult to even find me, and maybe everyone hasn't noticed that I'm missing yet. Can I also consider it a blessing in disguise? She laughed at herself, mocking her own incompetence and inability to make big money, mocking her own weakness, so weak that she was embarrassed by being publicly criticized by others, but unable to refute. She has been in the orphanage since she can remember, and the people there often treat her like a monster because she was born with white hair. She, who had no parents since childhood, had no financial ability to attend high school after completing compulsory education. But now she won't be trapped by these anymore. After all, the next is her own journey to another world. After thinking about it, the great sage previously said that he could change his appearance, but there is a time limit for him to change back to his original appearance. She had no way of knowing why there was a time limit to returning to her original self. Based on the appearance of a figure in her mind, she immediately had an idea. She instructed Ligrud to bring a smaller set of clothes to the tent. The awkward aspect of changing form is that the whole body is illuminated. And because there is a limitation to transformation, she will appear in a female posture. To avoid embarrassment, she first asked Ligrud to deliver the clothes to the tent. After Ligrud left, she began to change. As the figure in his mind gradually became clearer, Slim also began to change. A young girl with long blue hair and golden eyes slowly appeared. The girl picked up the clothes on the table and put them on. She felt something was missing, and then she used magic to transform a mask and put it on her face. Suddenly, her massive leaked magic disappeared in an instant. Pushing aside the tent cover, the masked girl suddenly appeared, which clearly stunned the goblins. However, only Lord Slim could stay in this tent, and the girl came out of it, so they quickly guessed that she was Yu Zhao. Speaking of which, she hasn't told everyone her name yet. Usually, people call her Mr. Slim, but it's awkward to keep calling her that way, as if she doesn't have a name. So she called Ligrud over and thought for a moment before saying, "Tell him not to keep calling Lord Slim in the future, let's call him Lim Turnpist." Upon hearing Yu Zhao's words, Ligrud immediately went to give orders. "Although I am not myself, since I have a similar plot, why not let me be the protagonist once?" Afterwards, she plans to build a city-state entirely composed of monsters, a magical city-state. In the following days, the village gradually expanded, but there was still some way to go before it became a small town. At the same time, she also had the great sage make a 100% recovery potion, and the goblins also planted some food, which was also taught by Yue Zhao. After all, Goblin in this village has always relied on hunting for a living and has never grown food. On this day, Yu Zhao was checking the progress of mining in the mining area. After all, building a house is essential for mining. But Lanya sent out a distress signal, and the sudden cry for help made her somewhat unresponsive. Her first reaction was that the village had been attacked, so she hurriedly headed towards Lanya's area. On the other hand, on Lanya's side, several wolves and goblin were beaten to the point where they couldn't get up. Only Lanya and a dwarf goblin could barely fight. That goblin was just selected as a member of the patrol team, Gobta. If you carefully examine the injuries of Gobta and Lanya, it is not difficult to find that they have many sword marks on their bodies. And against them was a group of big ghost tribes, led by a tall red-haired big ghost tribe with 2 horns in the middle of their red hair and a long sword pinned to their waist. Behind him was an old man with a sword pinned to his horns. The old man looked weak, but the aura emanating from his body proved that he was not what he appeared to be. There are also 2 female great ghost clans, one with purple hair and a large face with a big knife on her back. She looks like she cooks very well. The other one is the one with small and cute pink hair, probably not very good at fighting. Finally, there is a big guy with a low presence and not very strong magic. Of course, this is just a superficial number of people. Lanya knew there was another person in the dark who was very skilled at using silk thread. Each silk thread was as sharp as a knife and very tough. Many of the injuries on Lanya and Gobta's bodies were caused by him. Who the hell are you and what are you planning to do here? Lanya, knowing she was defeated, began to procrastinate. Seeing that the other party had not spoken, he intended to continue delaying, but the other party did not give him this opportunity. He saw Red Hair wielding a long sword and suddenly rushing towards Lanya. At the critical moment, a blue-haired girl stepped forward to block the blow. The one who came was Yu Zhao. The sudden appearance of the masked man in front of her made Red Hair furious, threatening to chop off her head and offer sacrifices to his tribe. Seeing Yu Zhao, a member of the Great Ghost Clan, not only did he not fear, but he was also very excited. He is a capable warrior in the future. She poured some 100% recovery potion onto the injured goblins and wolf packs, and their injuries instantly healed. As the Demon King, she has learned many skills these days, but there are no subjects to experiment with. Now she can give it a try. She lifted one hand and a gust of wind surged in her palm, followed by a black and white flame that contained magic that soared into the sky. This was one of her skills, Black Inflammation. This posture also caused a sudden change in the expression of the Great Ghost Clan, as they seemed to know they couldn't carry the flame. And Yue Zhao also understood this. He restrained the flame a bit, so that it could make the opponent lose their resistance and not suffer too much damage. Then he threw it towards the opponent. The range of this move was too wide, and the Great Ghost Clan couldn't escape. They were hard hit, and then fell to the ground one after another. She glanced at the big tree next to her and casually said, "The one by the tree hasn't come out yet. Your companions can't even get up. Don't worry, I'm not a bad person. There must be some misunderstanding between us." As soon as the words fell, an extra man appeared in the area where there were originally only 5 people. This person has dark blue hair, slightly dark skin, and carries 2 long knives on his back. "Noah, this is the recovery potion. You can use it for them. Of course you don't believe it, but I don't think you need to do it at all." Yu Zhao threw the recovery potion to the man. The man who took the recovery potion clearly hesitated, but in the end, he poured it on them. At the moment when the medicine touched the body, the wounds of those big ghost tribes disappeared. Even a few people who have seen the world before couldn't help but express surprise when they saw the effect of this potion. After several people recovered, their views on Yu Zhao also changed. At this moment, Red Hair spoke up and said, "Why did you save us?" I think there should be some misunderstanding between us, after all, I have never seen you before, she replied. Upon learning that she had mistaken the person, Hongmao expressed her apologies. Then she invited a few people to visit the village and have some food as well. A few people hesitated for a while before agreeing. After all, they had such strength, and even if they wanted to harm them, they didn't need to go through so much trouble. After several people arrived at the village, Yu Zhao instructed Ligra to prepare some food. These big ghost tribes haven't eaten anything on the way to escape, and now they feel very happy to have delicious food. At this moment, they finally talked about how their tribe was almost destroyed due to the invasion of the Pighead army, and they also fled here, led by a masked person. So they were so angry when they saw Yu Zhao. She actually knew all of these, but she didn't say it. After all, it was too unbelievable. Chapter 5. Dwarf Kingdom of Dowager. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the evening, the village held a welcome party to welcome the arrival of the Great Ghost Clan. After some discussion, Yu Zhao suggested that they move in, as they were on the run and did not have a safe place to live. They also gladly accepted this proposal. The Great Ghost Clan had no names, so she told them her own names and decided to give them a name. Upon learning that they could still have a name, several Great Ghost Clans were extremely grateful and expressed their lifelong loyalty to Lord Limlu. After they were ready, Yu Zhao started naming the one with red hair, red pills, white-haired elderly people are, Bai Lao, the man who was previously hidden in the dark, Kanjing, the voluptuous purple hair and the cute and gentle pink hair are respectively, Purple Garden, and Juliet. There is also a big block, Black Soldier Guard, due to his expertise in forging, was given the position of knife craftsman, responsible for crafting weapons. After naming everyone, she also felt a bit sleepy. Although she wasn't in a coma, waves of drowsiness filled her consciousness. After explaining to them, I went back to my room to sleep. Not far from the Jura forest, a man looked at the scene on the glass ball in front of him and let out a sinister laugh. Yes, that's it. You'll soon become the Pig-head Emperor. And on the screen is a large army composed of countless pig-headed people, led by exceptionally strong pig-headed people who are crazily gnawing on corpses, including pig-headed people who can quickly gnaw on corpses to gain magic, while their companions' corpses can gain more magic. Therefore, as long as a pig-headed person dies, they will be crazily divided and eaten up. When Yu Zhao woke up again, the big ghost tribes had changed their appearance and evolved into ghost people, which had a very low probability of evolving. Red Maru became more heroic, while Bai Lao became even more unfathomable. The changes in Songying and He Bingwei were not significant, while Ziyuan's skin became very white, forming a sharp contrast with his previous skin. Zhu Lai became even cuter. In addition, their magic has also increased, and now they should be the strongest group under the Demon King. At the same time, they have also acquired new skills that inherit from Yu Zhao, such as Red Maru inheriting her black flame and Kanjing inheriting her clone. She also arranged positions for several people. Hong Wan took the position of general, and Bai Lao took the position of teacher to teach goblins some swordsmanship. Cang Ying was the secret emissary who was responsible for inquiring about the eyeliner of the news division. Ziyuan was the secretary who was responsible for Yu Zhao's living and eating. Zhu Lai was a witch, but she was more like another secretary than a witch. For these changes, they also know that they were all given by Yu Zhao, and their loyalty to her has reached an unshakable level. In the next few days, the village had become a small town, with a building built in the middle that was taller than nearby houses. This was specifically used for meetings and also a place for Yu Zhao to sleep. Secretary Ziyuan often holds onto Slim State and presses the 2 water balls on her head. It's really happiness. Every day, I have a beautiful secretary holding me. I used to envy seeing this place, but now I finally experience it. And Zhu Lai, on the other hand, competed with Ziyuan to take care of Yu Zhao because she was too cute. This doubled her experience. Yu Zhao was very satisfied with the construction of the small town, but felt that there was still something missing. By the way, it's a hot spring. Although it's a bit shadowy, soaking in hot springs is really comfortable, but with current technology, it seems that we can't make hot springs. We still need to go to the dwarf kingdom of Dowager, he said and got up. Alongside Lanya, there are also Purple Garden, Julai, and Gabuta on the same side. The location of the dwarf kingdom of Dowager is not in the Jura forest, so it takes some distance to reach. As for why you want to go to the dwarven kingdom of Dowager, because the dwarven kingdom has advanced forging techniques, not only weapons and hot springs, but also houses that you can easily capture. After careful consideration, according to the timeline, Kaijin didn't know what was going on. After all, he had never been to the dwarf kingdom of Dowager before, and even the construction of the town was built by Goblin according to the plan. Of course, the most important thing is that there are elven tribes in the dwarf kingdom of Dowager. Just thinking about it makes me excited. After arriving in the dwarf kingdom of Dowager, Yu Zhao first changed back to human form, allowing Lanya to hide in the shadow and then walked towards the city gate. At this moment, several soldiers led her one step to the city gate. They carried an injured person, whose entire left leg was missing, with obvious burning marks on half of her face, and multiple bleeding spots on her body. The soldier who saw the wounded guarding the door immediately took out recovery potion and poured it onto the injured person, but the injured person's injury only recovered slightly, and this recovery had no effect on him. Try this. Yu Zhao took out a bottle of 100% recovery potion and handed it to the soldier. He didn't think much about taking the 100% recovery potion. Now that the injured person is very serious and there is no other way, he just collapsed and died. At the moment when the medicine touched the injured person, the wounds miraculously recovered as if they had not been injured. The missing left leg and burnt face also recovered, with only the tattered clothes proving the traces they had left. Seeing such magical effects, several soldiers looked solemnly at Yu Zhao and others. Thank you very much for your potion. Are you all here for any reason? The soldier in charge asked respectfully. There's no need to be so formal, I just want to talk to your king about a business. As for the specific business, here, it's the recovery potion. Yu Zhao pointed to the bottle of half of the potion in the soldier's hand and replied. Upon hearing that the other party was here to discuss business and it was such a magical potion, the soldiers rushed to the capital to inform the king without stopping. The king of the dwarf kingdom of Dowager is King Gazer. Although he is an ordinary human, his swordsmanship level is already at its peak. If he is only stronger than swordsmanship, few people are stronger than him. However, this person is very easygoing and gentle in private. The soldiers soon returned, indicating that King Gazer had seen her for reasons. In the Grand Palace, a majestic man sat on a high seat, with King Gazer holding a half bottle of medicine in his hand. He looked down at the few people who walked in and said, "Did you bring this magical potion?" "Your Majesty, I am the owner of a small town in the Jura forest. I am visiting here to discuss a business deal with your country. As for the item, it is the 100% recovery potion in your hand." Yu Zhao replied. "I already understand your intentions, but how can you be certain that I won't directly threaten you to hand over the recipe?" said Gazer Wang San with an astonishing aura, pressing towards Yu Zhao. Feeling the imposing aura rushing towards her, Yu Zhao was not panicked. She slowly took off her mask, and then the overwhelming magic instantly dissipated that aura. "You are actually the Demon King." Feeling the amazing magic, King Gazer stood up instantly, his eyes fixed on Yu Zhao. "Your Majesty, I am only here to do a business, and the reputation of the dwarf kingdom of Dowager should not threaten me as a small merchant," said Yu Zhao, slowly putting on a mask to restrain the towering magic. "Which Demon King are you?" "No, although you have the magic of a Demon King, it seems that you have not become a Demon King. At most, you are a Demon King on the surface." King Gazer asked incredulously. "Well, since you're here to discuss business, let's talk about it." After receiving the other party's tacit approval, Yu Zhao took out a complete bottle of 100% recovery potion and said, "As you can see, this bottle of 100% recovery potion can instantly restore the injured person. As long as there is still one breath left, you will recover as usual without any side effects. I believe King Gazer really needs this thing, so I came to do this transaction with you. As for the money, I only need 70% of the original price, but there must be an additional condition." Feeling that the conditions offered by the other party were acceptable, King Gazer asked him to continue speaking. "I heard that there is a master blacksmith named Kaijin in your country, and I have also said that I am the owner of a small town. Now I need some such people, and if your country is willing to let this person help me, it will be extremely grateful." After Yu Zhao finished speaking, he waited for the decision of King Gazer. After a while, King Gazer made up his mind and had someone bring Kaijin up. Soon, the soldiers brought a short and bearded man to the main hall. Yu Zhao immediately recognized him as Kaijin. After some questioning, Kaijin also expressed his willingness to go to the small town with Yu Zhao, but he would like to bring a few people along. At night, Yu Zhao arranged for Ziyuan and Zhu Lai to rest at a hotel, while he himself had Gobta go with her to a place, accompanied by Kaijin and others. In the blink of an eye, Yu Zhao arrived at a shop, and her young girl's face was covered in lewd words, "Hee, elves, enchantresses, and cats, I'm here." Gobta's behavior was even more outrageous than Yu Zhao's. He jumped into the shop with a strong jump, startling several elf girls inside. The Kaijin and others who followed behind were also very happy, and few men were not excited to see this scene. In the store, Yu Zhao, who was in a slime state, was being held in the arms of an elf, with several elves beside her feeding food, which was truly comfortable. Gobutta performed a unique skill, such as standing upside down, riding a unicycle, and holding a wooden stick against a plate. He lost himself amidst the sound of his little brother being amazing. Compared to that, Kaijin is relatively calm, probably because he has also been here before. At this moment, a woman dressed as a witch walked up to Yu Zhao with a crystal ball and asked, "Lord Limlu, would you like to try our famous divination in the store? It can help you predict the important people you will encounter next." With a tentative attitude, Yu Zhao expressed her willingness to do divination. Then she placed her hand on the crystal ball, and as it shone, a figure gradually appeared on top. Chapter 6. The Pig-Head Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The woman appearing on the crystal ball is undoubtedly Jing, whose full name is Jingjiang Inoue, and she is also a traveler, but she was summoned. In the picture, Jing seems to be facing a great enemy. Then the screen disappeared. As expected, even if it wasn't me, divination would still encounter Jing. However, there was one thing that puzzled her. According to her memory, Jing shouldn't have encountered any major enemies. Did it happen because of me? Holding on to the idea that she couldn't figure it out, she decisively put on a bad show and didn't end the nightclub trip until a few people were a bit drunk. After leaving, Gobta even said that she would have to come back with Lord Limru again next time. After saying these words, Gobta suddenly became much clearer by a gust of cold wind. "Lord Limlu, it's really cold here. How could the cold wind still blow up so well?" Upon hearing these words, Yu Zhao immediately reacted and ran a long distance without seeing anyone in the blink of an eye, leaving a puzzled Gobta standing in place. Then two figures walked out of the darkness and looked at Gobta with a dangerous smile on their face. "Gobta, tell me where you're going with Lord Limla next time," they said, seeing both of them sobering up under the influence of Gabita. He quickly explained, "Ziyuan, Julai, listen to me. It's not that I'm bringing Lord Limla here, it's Lord Limla himself. I'm not sure if I came specifically to protect Lord Limlu's safety." "Oh, is that so? Don't worry, Lord Limlu came over to protect her. Look at how hard you've worked, let Ziyuan make you some food as a reward." Zhu Lai said with a smile, "Dangerous." Upon hearing that she was going to eat her own cooked food, Ziyuan immediately became happy, as if she was very confident in her cooking skills. Upon hearing that he was going to eat dinner at the Purple Garden, Buddha immediately passed out. At this moment, Yu Zhao, who was hiding in the corner, was frightened by the scene and broke out in a cold sweat. She secretly congratulated herself for running fast in her heart. Then she heard Zhu Lai say, "Lord Limulu, I know you are around here. When you go back, you and Gobta will taste the dishes of the Purple Garden together. Don't forget." Zhu Lai's words immediately shattered Yu Zhao's heart. The trip to the dwarf kingdom of Dowager was basically over, and the few of them returned to the small town. Kaijin was also shocked, as the town was made up of monsters, with houses built one after another. Although it was a bit inexperienced, it was enough to shock him for a while. Yu Zhao was surprised by Kaijin's reaction. She invited Kaijin to come this time to make the town larger and the buildings more exquisite. In the following days, Kaijin and his team began construction and taught the goblins how to make buildings more beautiful and practical. And Yu Zhao started practicing swordsmanship after seeing Queen Gazer, so of course, he had to look for Bai Lao to know how to practice. Although Bai Lao has great respect for Yu Zhao, when it comes to practicing swordsmanship, he takes it very seriously and shows no mercy. He cannot express his bitterness towards this kind of devil training for Yu Zhao. Fortunately, she has the strength of a demon king as a foundation, and coupled with being slim, she can quickly recover from damage. But even so, he suffered a lot of losses. Although he had no wounds on his body, his clothes were all sword marks. Is this the strength of Bai Lao Du? It's too exaggerated. If I hadn't used the strength of the Demon King Du to suppress them before, I would probably have lost very miserably. Looking at Bai Lao Yu Zhao in front of her, she trembled uncontrollably as she held her sword. Lord Limulu, practicing swordsmanship is very difficult, but since you have asked me to teach you swordsmanship, then I will naturally give my all and accept it. In time and time again of training, Yu Zhao's swordsmanship has also made rapid progress. Of course, Yu Zhao's talent is also very important, and she only needs to read various advanced swordsmanship once or twice to master the essentials of beginners. This talent reminds Bai that only one person can compare to it. This kind of day is very comfortable. But the good times didn't last long. The building used for meetings was now filled with people, and Taurine, the manager of the Jura forest, also appeared inside. Her appearance also surprised everyone. As the manager of the Jura forest, who was in power, she couldn't even see it normally. This time, she came to the small town specifically. Torini came this time to ask her to deal with the recently powerful army of pig heads. Upon hearing that it was the pig head army, Ligrud still didn't answer the inquiry and asked, "Lord Torini, when will the pig head people need you to handle it yourself?" "As far as I know, they are always starving." Torini also expressed that the pig head people have suddenly become stronger recently. They have gathered many pig head people to form a large army, which is gradually eroding and destroying this forest. Moreover, the leading pighead people are carrying the Demon King seed and are even about to become the Pighead Emperor. Upon hearing about the severity of the situation, the legendary Pighead Emperor Ligrud also knew that he would constantly become stronger by devouring other monsters. And Red Maru and his team clenched their fists and said, "Lord Limru, we can't sit idly by about this matter." Yue Zhao naturally knew about it, so she agreed to Taurine's request. For her now, the pig-head army is not a big deal. Due to that egg, she was initially at the Demon King level. Although her combat experience was a bit lacking, her skills alone could kill the pig-head emperor. Moreover, because she is the Demon King, any member of the Ghost Clan under her command has the ability to defeat the army of pigheads. So she didn't pay any attention to these anymore. After Touraine left, she continued to live a life taken care of by her secretary. It is worth mentioning that Ziyuan's dark cooking skills have become increasingly powerful since she started at some point. The food she made can no longer be called food, it's not just about appearance. Recently, Gobta accidentally consumed the food made by the Purple Garden, which directly filled her poison resistance. Even the Demon King would suffer from this terrifying power. On the other hand, Gobta was waiting for several goblins to face a formidable opponent, who was the white old man who had been given the position of teacher, because at the beginning of encountering Gobta, they discovered their problems. So now I happen to have the opportunity to start teaching. Old man, don't bully us too much. We've been trained many times and it's not over yet. Gobta protested. Who are you calling an old man? Bai Lao's eyes fiercely followed by a pig-killing sound. Gobta was also very miserable. Anyone who watched Bai Lao's devil training shuddered, but they were trained for a whole day until they couldn't get up. I can only go back to rest with a face full of bags and grievances. The black soldier guard at the knife craftsman's shop is forging weapons for Goblin, holding on to the spirit of the knife craftsman and not slacking off at all. In another part of the Jura forest, a group of lizard people live here. They are large in scale, but they cannot compare to the army of pig heads. At this time, the man on the throne holds a trident and has a serious expression on his face. Listening to the urgent news of the war situation coming from his subordinates one after another, all these days are of this kind, which makes his leader very headache. The army of Pighead will soon reach the lizard clan. Is the scale of the Pighead army already so large? It seems that we can't handle it alone. Go and see if there are any forces nearby willing to fight against the Pighead army together, the leader said. Gavaru is the son of a man and the only named lizard in the entire lizard clan. After receiving orders, he went to subdue nearby small forces. Gavaru was very lucky to have chosen the small town where Yuezhao was located. Watching the larger town in front of him maintain order, it was some goblins, which made him suddenly arrogant. Landing in front of the town with a few lizard people, several patrolling goblins naturally noticed Gavaru and asked, "What are the lizard people here for? Call your leader out and say that Gavaru wants to subdue this place." Gavaru's attitude was unusually arrogant. The incident was quickly reported to Yu Zhao's ear. "Gavaru, lizard tribe. I didn't expect it to come so soon." There are several other leaders who are also aware of this matter. At this moment, the town was surrounded by people, including not only Red Maru, Purple Garden, and Zhu Lai, but also the Black Guards. "Where's your leader? Let her come out to see me." Gavaru's attitude was still very arrogant. At this moment, sitting on Lanya's back, he said, "I am the leader here. What's up?" Seeing a slime speaking, Gavaru didn't even pay attention to her and continued, "Aren't you all leaders afraid to come out and see me?" And a few lizard people behind Gavaru are still saying, "Gavaru, Gavaru," to cheer up. Seeing the other party's arrogance, Ziyuan couldn't help but ask Yue Zhao, "Lord Limlu, can I handle it?" Upon hearing these words, Yu Zhao quickly stopped him and then asked Gobta to teach him a lesson. Watching the conversation between the few people in front of him, Gavaru gradually accepted that a slime could also be the leader. Then a figure charged fiercely and struck Gavaru's head with a hammer, knocking him unconscious. At this moment, Gobta spoke up and said, "Let this blind Viru remember, my master's name is Gobta." Seeing Gavaru being knocked unconscious like this, several lizard people dragged Gavaru away in a disheveled manner. When Gavaru woke up again, he heard his younger brother say that he had been knocked unconscious by a person named Gobta and quickly defended his reputation. These goblins are too despicable. There's actually a slime pretending to be the leader, taking advantage of me to relax my guard and then sneak attack me. In fact, the real leader is the person named Gobta. Upon hearing Gavaru's words, several lizard tribes found them very reasonable. At this moment, the arrival of a clown left them puzzled. The clown named Laplace was an envoy under Grumid, and the one who named Gavaru was Grumid. Upon learning of the identities of the other party, the arrogant Gavaru also showed respect. Laplace said that the Pighead army is imminent now, and the leader of the lizard clan is already old. It is now necessary for people like Gavaru to succeed in order to confront the Pighead army. At the same time, on the other side, an exceptionally large army is rampaging in the Jura forest, and this army is known as the Pighead army. The Pighead people led by this army have evolved into the Pighead Emperor. Chapter 7. Great War. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the side of the Lizard Clan, there came a person who made the entire Lizard Clan wary. The Lizard Clan leader on the throne looked at the man in front of him and asked, "Who are you, sir? Why are you coming to my Lizard Clan territory?" The leader of the Lizard tribe knows that the man in front of him is very strong, at least he is not his opponent. But the Lizard soldier behind him didn't know. "Hey," the leader asked, "if you're deaf." The response to this soldier was that they were all incredibly sharp threads, and it was hard to notice that a single thread was hanging around the neck of the Lizard soldier, with a drop of blood dripping onto the thread. This person is Ying. A while ago, Yu Zhao instructed him to talk to the leader of the Lizard Clan. Ying sent one of her clones to the Lizard Clan. "I have been ordered by my lord to come and discuss the matter of the Pig Head Army with the leader of the Lizard Clan," Ying explained clearly. After learning that the other party was not an enemy, the leader breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's right, my Lizard Clan is willing to do our part." Upon receiving the other party's response, Ying left a message. "Don't rush to declare war and wait for our arrival when encountering the Pig Head Army, so as not to become a Pig Head Army after death. We will arrive in 7 days." Upon receiving the opponent's proposal, the leader of the Lizard Clan also knew that as long as they held on to the opponent's attack and waited for reinforcements, it was enough. In the following days, the Lizard Clan and the Pig Head Army were deadlocked. Once the Pig Head Army came to attack the Lizard Clan, they resisted. However, due to the characteristics of the Pig Head Army, as long as one eats the corpse, they will obtain the magic of the corpse from it. Therefore, the Lizard Clan also tries to avoid death as much as possible, and even if they die, they must bring the corpse back. At the same time, Gavru also returned to the Lizard Clan, and he was dissatisfied when he saw that the tribe had adopted the strategy of shrinking the head turtle. "Father, the child has returned." Gavrudin knelt before the leader. "There is something unknown about the child's return this time. Why do we have to curl up inside instead of going out to fight each other?" Gavru asked in confusion. Upon hearing these words, the leader explained, "Just now, there was a powerful force willing to help us fight against the Pig Head Army. We just need to wait for rescue." When the leader wanted to talk to him again about the characteristics of the Pig Head Army, Gavru spoke up, "Father, you're old. The Lizard Clan can defeat the Pig Head Army without the help of others. Now it's time to let the right person inherit the throne." Upon hearing these words, the leader immediately realized, "Gavru, are you going to rebel?" The filial son Gavru ignored the leader and instead had him taken to his room to be imprisoned, along with other ministers who were dissatisfied with Gavru's usurpation. Then his subordinates handed over a trident, which was the leader's weapon, the water vortex spear. Gavru picked up the leader's vortex gun, which showcased his uniqueness. He saw a golden light emanating from the outside of the vortex gun, which could greatly enhance the lizard tribe holding the vortex gun. This fills Gavru with confidence. He summoned all the fighting lizard tribes and led them to an ambush on a river that the army of pigs would surely pass through. Just as everyone's attention was highly focused, the river trembled slightly, followed by deafening footsteps. The lizard tribe vaguely saw a crowd ahead, and the tens of thousands of pig heads briefly caused panic in Gavru. However, this panic was only for a moment, and soon it was occupied by his blind confidence. He ordered all the lizard tribes to ambush in the river, giving them a fatal blow when the pighead army passed by. In his script, the lizard tribe was naturally good at water warfare, and the pighead army was very bulky due to their large size. Fighting on water will further amplify its weaknesses. In this way, even if there is a difference in quantity between the two sides, they can still use their existing advantages to defeat the army of pig heads. As the army of pig heads approached step by step, a pig-headed person with a physique several times larger than the average pig head emitted astonishing magic, which was infinitely close to the Demon King. He is the Pig-Head Emperor, and the aura emanating from the Pig-Head Emperor, who possesses the Demon King breed, is very terrifying. In this little time, the army of pig heads gradually approached, and the earth echoed with their dissatisfaction. Until the pighead army enters an ambush, take advantage of the moment, take action. Gavra took the lead in killing several pig-headed people. And other lizard tribes, upon hearing the order, immediately followed suit and killed one pig-headed person after another, resulting in a one-sided situation in the battle. At the same time, Yu Zhao was riding behind Lanya and following a group of capable subordinates to the location of the pig-head army, with Zhang Ying exploring the situation ahead. At this moment, Zhang Ying explained to Yu Zhao that there was a relative guard of a lizard tribe fighting against a group of pig-headed people ahead, and it seemed that there were also high-level monsters among these pig-headed people. Yu Zhao, who received the news, asked Kanjing to save the lizard clan, and she then arrived. When a few people arrived, Zhang Ying had already killed all the pig-headed people. At this moment, there was a female lizard tribe lying in his arms, and when he saw Yu Zhao arrive, Kanjing said that the young girl of this lizard tribe was injured. Yu Zhao didn't say much and took out a bottle of 100% recovery potion for the girl to drink. After the girl recovered from her injuries, she glanced at her body and then turned to Yu Zhao and the others, saying, "I thought I had a fatal injury, are you?" Yu Zhao pondered for a moment and said, "My name is Limlu Terampist." Seeing how powerful the other party was, the girl decisively knelt down and begged Yu Zhao to help the lizard clan overcome difficulties, and introduced her identity. The girl was originally the daughter of the leader of the lizard clan, but due to her brother Gavaru's usurpation of power, she placed the leader under house arrest and wanted to fight against the army of pigheads alone. She also managed to escape under the protection of the leader. According to her, Gavaru did not understand the abilities of the pighead army and underestimated it too much. In this way, the entire lizard clan would be destroyed. So she could only plead with Yu Zhao to save the lizard clan. Upon hearing the other party's admiration for Yu Zhao, Ziyuan also felt like she had met a close friend and quickly agreed on behalf of Yu Zhao. "Don't worry, Lord Limlu has great powers to rescue that leader of yours." Ziyuan praised Yu Zhao without hesitation. She had no choice but to ask Zhang Ying to take this girl to save the leader of the lizard clan, while herself and others still went to deal with the army of pigheads. On the Gavaru side, the initially established advantages have gradually turned into disadvantages. He found that the bodies of those killed pig-headed people had been eaten by other pig-headed people, and now pig-headed people can walk freely even in wetlands. If you look closely, you will find that those pig-headed people have fins and scales growing on their bodies, which is a unique feature of the lizard tribe. At this point, Gavaru finally learned about the abilities of the pighead man. Whenever a pighead man eats other creatures, all pigheads will acquire corresponding abilities. This also wiped out Gavaru's confidence in front of him. He quickly commanded the lizard clan to retreat, but other lizard clans found that the back path was already surrounded and there was no way out. A tall and huge pig-headed man with a double-edged axe suddenly appeared in the army of pig-heads. This pig-headed person exudes strong magic all over his body, and when Gavaru saw this pig-headed person, his first reaction was to think he was the pig-headed emperor. So he spoke up and said, "Are you the pig-head emperor? I am the leader of the lizard clan, and you will fight me 1-on-1. I'm not the pighead emperor," replied Gavarudu with just this sentence. Then the pighead man continued, "I'm the pighead general, and the power of the pighead emperor is far beyond my reach. But are you going to fight me 1-on-1? It's interesting, I promise you. Can't it be reached far away? So how powerful is the pighead emperor?" Gavaru's mind reflected a figure even stronger than the pig-head general in front of him. At the moment when Gavaru was stunned, an axe attack fell from above. When Gavaru reacted, he tried his best to resist before Can could stop it. However, he was also repelled by Su Yuan. Before Gavaru could catch his breath, the giant axe followed the wind again, and the strong airflow made him realize that he couldn't carry it hard. He narrowly avoided it again, and not only that, he also used this opportunity to launch an attack on General Pighead. However, His attack only left a shallow scratch on General Pighead's body. I was also surprised to see that the opponent could still counterattack General Pighead, but only for a moment. The next moment, he once again lifted the powerful axe and struck heavily at Keagaviru. Gaviru still couldn't resist this blow, as he had already knocked down the water vortex spear in front of him with the opponent's giant axe and hit it to the ground. At this moment, he is covered in injuries. Even so, he still refuses to give up and stands forward again, wanting to confront him. And General Pighead also swung out the next axe. Just as everyone thought the ending had been decided, a small figure blocked the giant axe. It was Gobta who came, and Gaviru was also very excited when he saw Gobta. He spoke up and said, "You are indeed the leader of that small town." "No, I'm just the captain of a patrol team." Gobtadu's words left Gaviru at a loss. In other battle zones on this battlefield, a red-haired man occasionally threw a black flame at the pighead man. With the arrival of the black flame, a huge circular shock wave was stirred up, and not a single pighead man was spared. If you broaden your perspective, you will find that this black flame has covered a large area, causing extensive casualties to the army of pig heads. The source of all this is the red-haired man, Red Maru. On the other side, an elderly man with white hair faced an endless army of pig heads, his face calm as water. He pulled out his long sword slightly, and then roared towards him at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. All the pig-headed people passing by along the way were spared. And the old man calmly put away his long sword as usual. On the other hand, Ziyuan's side was relatively simple and rough. She took out her big sword and swung it forward, causing cracks to appear on the ground. Then, a large number of pig-headed people were heavily thrown onto the ground and unable to rise again. Chapter 8. Gentle She, He. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The scene of Ziyuan splitting open the ground was just seen by Yu Zhao flying in the sky, which frightened her. Ziyuan is still so rough. Killing enemies in this way seems to be a good strategy to avoid offending her in the future. She silently wiped away the non-existent sweat. Then she saw the battle between Gobutta and General Pighead, and found that Gobutta could fight against General Pighead back and forth and still have some advantages. This made Yu Zhao excited. She knew that Gobutta had a special physique, but the intensity was indeed somewhat unexpected. Then came Gaviru, who, after being defeated by General Pighead, accepted reality and prepared to die calmly when Gobta stepped forward to save him. He even regarded Gobta as the leader of the small town and had great respect for him. With the help of Yu Zhao and others, the Pig-head army also faced a situation of defeat, leaving only the Pig-head emperor and other powerful Pig-head people in the end. In an area of the Jura forest, two very strange people wearing masks stand here. The leader is wearing a crow-shaped mask, and a long bird's beak is chattering incessantly with another masked person, who is Gromides. And the other one wore a black and white mask, not only a mask, but also a clown-style clothing, which gave him a somewhat comical feeling. Naturally, he was Laplace. But even if both of them looked strange, they couldn't stop the dangerous aura on their bodies. When the two were discussing something, a green light suddenly appeared, and over time, the green light also transformed into a human form. The newcomer is Taurine, the manager of the Jura forest. Taurine saw the two of them without saying a word and raised her hand, which was a fatal blow to consolidating the manager's ability. Although the tree itself made it difficult to move, Taurine's magic cannot be underestimated. She possesses the strength of A-level monsters, which is slightly inferior to A-level monsters like Red Maru that have evolved into ghostly beings. Therefore, when Taurine appeared, Grumid began to run away with Laplace, but Laplace was still forced to leave an arm behind by Taurine. Watching the two of them leave, Taurine can only pray that Yue Zhao and the others can solve the army of Pighead and the Pighead Emperor. At the same time, two people suddenly appeared in another place, which was already uninhabited. They were Grumid and Laplace, who had broken his arm. You are truly the manager of the Jura forest, truly impressive. Are you okay, Laplace? Grumid looked at Laplace and asked. It's okay, it's just a broken arm. Laplace's face was filled with pain. Upon hearing Laplace say it was okay, he didn't bother and instead took out a crystal ball. At this moment, the figures of Yu Zhao and her companions appeared prominently on the crystal ball. I didn't expect such a tricky monster to appear in this forest. It seems that I have to go there myself. If I can't complete the task assigned by the adult, I will die a miserable death. Without asking Laplace, he flew towards the army of pig heads without hesitation. After Grumid left, the pain on Laplace's face was completely gone, and then it disappeared here as well. On the other side, when Gobuta and General Pighead were fighting fiercely, Yu Zhao also saw the Pighead Emperor. Like her, she also discovered the Pighead Emperor and Gavru. At this moment, Gavru suddenly noticed a person in front of him, who was wearing a crow-shaped mask and was the newly arrived Grumid. As soon as he arrived here, he began to curse. He first pointed at the Red Maru Lanya and said to them, "Why do you, the Great Ghost Clan, insist on obstructing me? I almost could have created the Demon King. And you, Gavru, if you have the courage to go and die yourself, there won't be so much to do. Give me the nourishment to become the Pig Head Emperor." Gavru listened incredulously as Grumid cursed. And the great sage, who had been missing for a long time when Grumid appeared, also spoke up, to inform him that Grumid was a demon under the command of the Demon King, and he was the person who named Gavru and the true culprit of the birth of the Pig Head Emperor. This person often named people for a period of time, with the aim of creating new demon kings. Although he already knew the identity of Grumidus, the great sage still repeated it. At the same time, Grumid also launched an attack on Gavru, who was still in a daze and couldn't believe Grumid would attack him. But his subordinates didn't have that much concern. They surrounded Gavru in a circle to protect him, and they used their bodies to block the fatal blow for him. Watching the subordinates who used to cheer for themselves and cheer for him, regardless of right or wrong, but now they are injured and unable to stand up, Gavru finally understands. However, Grumid also launched a second attack. At the critical moment, Yu Zhao rushed down and used his skill Overeater to swallow Grumid's attack. Hand over a few bottles of 100% recovery potion to Gavru and ask him to save those subordinates. This made the supreme Grumid in Gavru's eyes look like Yu Zhao. Looking at the sudden appearance of the person, Grumid also recognized, "You are the culprit obstructing my plan." Subsequently, he intended to command the Pig Head Emperor to kill Yu Zhao. After waiting for a long time without seeing any response from the Pig Head Emperor, Grumid turned to look at him. At this moment, the red eyes between the Pig Head Emperor's forehead also lit up. "Are you a fool? You don't even listen to me. I'll let you go kill them now." Grumid was so angry that he kicked the Pig Head Emperor a few times. But then he responded with the sharp sword of the Pig Head Emperor. As the wind blew and his head lingered, Grumid died in the hands of the Pig Head Emperor whom he had personally trained. Subsequently, the Pig Head Emperor ate the remains of Grumidus, and the majestic magic also allowed the Pig Head Emperor to evolve from a Demon King species to a Demon King. "I have evolved from a Demon King to a complete Demon King, a new Demon King," the Pig Head Emperor roared as he unleashed his astonishing magic. Notice. The Pig Head Emperor has evolved into a Demon King, ranking among the Demon Kings and possessing immense magical power. It's really exciting. I haven't met anyone who can make me take action. Those pig-headed people were all taken care of by Red Maru and his team. Now, I finally have an opponent who can make me take action. Seeing Yu Zhao's excited expression, Red Maru and his companions wisely didn't intervene. Only Ziyuan continued to cheer, "Lord Limlu, we must knock down that stinky pig." As if receiving the bonus from the leader of the Purple Garden, Yu Zhao pulled out his long sword and raised his hand, using a light speed slash to cut off the arm of the Pig Head Emperor. Then, with a few more swords, he chopped off the huge head of the Pig Head Emperor. However, in the next moment, the body of the pig-head emperor stretched out a series of sticky tentacles to connect the severed arms and limbs. The connected parts, including the large head, were intact and without any signs of breakage. Although it was as expected by Yu Zhao, he was still shocked by this amazing recovery ability. However, after the shock, it was replaced by more excitement, because for her, it was a living sandbag that would not be worn out and could move or fight back. Next came a dramatic scene, where Yu Zhao unilaterally practiced swordsmanship with the immortal body of the pig-head emperor, and her swordsmanship also advanced by leaps and bounds. But the pig-head emperor had no resistance. Despite being constantly teased like this and being able to repair injuries immediately, this humiliation made the pig-head emperor feel embarrassed and angry. He saw his body constantly squirming with liquid-like tentacles, crazily attacking the agile girl in the air. Those liquids that constantly gush out are corrosive. Any slight touch will corrode completely. However, this corrosive effect may be useful for low-level monsters, but for enemies like Yu Zhao who are both demon-level and slime-like, they will not be injured at all. However, people won't get hurt, and there are still colors hanging on the clothes. The fur-black coat has some larger areas that have been corroded off. Underneath that coat is the skin of a fair and tender girl. The girl seemed to know she couldn't continue playing like this. Perhaps she felt pressure, or maybe she didn't want to give any benefits. She casually blocked a stream of liquid. A piece of clothing was also missing in his hand. He stabilized his figure in the air and his small and smooth palm opened to the pig-head emperor. A strong wind swept the glutton away, and the surrounding dust and fallen leaves were swept into his palm and disappeared. Not only that, but even the huge pig-head emperor was pulled by a huge suction force. Watching the pig-head emperor's stalemate, Yu Zhao increased his strength. This time, the pig-head emperor could no longer hold on and was devoured and disappeared without a trace by the overeater. Seeing that the pig-head emperor had been eliminated, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Gavaru saw the characteristics of the young girls and the slime in the sky, and finally understood why this slime could lead such a strong person. The sky was originally covered in dark clouds for thousands of miles, but since the disappearance of the pig-head emperor, there have been no clouds for thousands of miles. The remaining pig-headed tribes of those pig-headed armies have also regained their rationality. On Yu Zhao's side, she gained his memory after absorbing the pig-head emperor. In my memory, in a dry desert, a pig-headed man knelt in front of the pig-headed emperor. Our food is gone, and the children are starving now. If this continues, the tribe will not be able to hold on. Is that right? After hearing these words, the pig-head emperor didn't say much. He silently came to the children and pulled his arm off, handing it to them. Eat it, then you won't be hungry. The pig-head emperor gently caressed the children's heads. Although he can regenerate, he will definitely not be able to withstand it in the long run. At this moment, a man came to him and gave him a name and food, and this person was Grumid. But Grumid had a demand that he keep eating, evolve and eventually become the pig-head emperor. For the sake of food, he still accepted the other party's request. But the people who became the pig-head emperor did not have the imagined food and clothing, but endless hunger. Although it did not make them die, it was more painful than death. I am full of sin. I have eaten my fellow countrymen, eaten other monsters, and even Lord Grumid. If I die, the people of my tribe will also be full of sin. I would rather bear all the sins on my own. Don't worry, I will devour your sins, not only you but also your people. Yu Zhao gently comforted the pig-head emperor. Are you really a greedy person, devouring everything? Upon hearing Yu Zhao's words, the pig-head emperor's face showed relief and then disappeared. Yeah, I'm really a greedy person. Chapter 9. Diablo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the end of the war, the Lizard Clan also formed an alliance with the town. Not only did the Lizard Clan, but also the Pighead Man and even the manager of the Jura Forest came. They are here to discuss who will be the leader of the alliance after the alliance, but the result is obvious due to Yu Zhao's previous performance. The damage to the lizard clan was severe this time, and the root cause of all this was ultimately due to Gavro's blind confidence. Therefore, the lizard clan leader decided to expel Gavro from the lizard clan and no longer claim to be a member of the lizard clan. However, after he was driven out of the lizard clan, his subordinates took out a stick-shaped item wrapped in red cloth. Gavro opened it and found that it was the leader's vortex gun. He also understood the leader's intention and shed tears. A few lizard people in the distance were waiting for him, and these lizard people were his attendants who had been cheering and even defending Gavro from deadly attacks. It is worth mentioning that after regaining consciousness, the pig-head army chose to follow Yu Zhao. They knew what kind of mistake their leader, the pig-head emperor, had committed and did not have any hope of being forgiven. But Yue Zhao told them that at the moment before the death of the pig-head emperor, she was still thinking about her own tribe, and she also agreed to wash away the sins on the pig-head people. The culprit of this great war is Grumid, and when the pig-head emperor killed Grumid, the pig-head people had no sin left. The lizard clan may have some dissatisfaction with this. After all, they have lost a lot of clan members, but because the speaker is Yu Zhao, they only asked how she thinks of the pig-head clan. The root cause of this is hunger. If it were you. No, even if it were me, I would have made the same choice as the pig-head emperor. For a tribe, the decision of the leader is crucial, but if you are the leader of the pig-head tribe and see that your tribe is starving and can only accept death in the end, not only that, but also because of survival, you have to eat the deceased tribe member. What would you do? This is Yu Zhao's answer to the lizard tribe. Later, she gave the pig-headed people two choices. One was to return to their original life, but Yue Zhao would provide them with food that could at least ensure their basic needs. The second is to live in the small town with Yu Zhao, who will provide food and accommodation but needs to work. The pig-headed people did not hesitate too much and chose the second option to follow her. At the same time, Taurine also expressed her desire to let Yue Zhao serve as the leader of the alliance and lead other monsters to protect the Jula forest. There is no disagreement among other ethnic groups regarding this, and even if there is one, it cannot change the final outcome. The opinions of the weak in a world where the strong are respected are only optional. As for the distribution, the lizard tribe is responsible for pure water and fresh fish, the pig-headed tribe is responsible for physical labor, such as building houses and paving roads, and the elf tribe where Taurine is located is responsible for fruits and other tasks. Thus, the Great Alliance of the Jura Forest was born. In addition, Yue Zhao also gave a name to the new demon, but exhaustion and drowsiness were also necessary. This time, too many demons came, which made their consumption a bit high. After defeating the Pig-Head army for 3 months, the Pig-Head clan evolved into the Pig-Man clan and learned how to build under the guidance of Kaijin, becoming a reliable labor force. At the same time, the tap water in the small town was also connected to the lizard tribe, and even the toilet water was very clean. The road leading to the lizard tribe also began construction, and the hot spring bathhouse that had previously been entrusted to Kaijin and others also began construction. The small town gradually gained the scale of a city. No, if we talk about scale, it should be considered the size of a country. But the good times didn't last long. On this day, Kanjin brought news that hundreds of knights appeared in the distant sky, each wearing armor and riding a fine horse, flying towards this place. Upon learning the news, Yu Zhao rode Lanya and others to the scene. It wasn't until the hundreds of knights landed that Yu Zhao could see the identity of the opponent, the hero king of the Dwarven kingdom and the king of Gazer. At the same time, Kaijin quickly knelt alone in front of him, long time no see King Gazer. Kaijin, it's been a long time since we last met. King Gazer got off his horse and looked at Yu Zhao, saying, I came here to see you clearly this time. A city composed of monsters, and even vaguely with the embryonic form of a country, what kind of person is the owner of such a power? I need to confirm. The quickest way is to use a sword. If the sword on your waist is not a decoration, then pull it out. Upon hearing the other party's words, Yu Zhao also knew that this was a test. If he passed, he could form an alliance with King Gazer. If he failed, it would be a war. Let me introduce myself. I am the leader of this Jura forest, Limru Terampist. You said you wanted to use a sword to see my character clearly, and I accepted. As he spoke, he grabbed his long sword from his waist. As long as you can block my attack, you win, said King Gazer disdainfully. As a swordsman, he possesses absolute confidence in swordsmanship. At this moment, Torini also appeared and came here to serve as the referee for this event. Seeing Torin, King Gazer gradually understood something. Then he drew his long sword and attacked it, and Yu Zhao took the opportunity to attack the opponent's abdomen in the opposite direction. This attack was naturally easily blocked by King Gazer. King Gazer launched his sword technique, Obscure. Thunder from the earth and sky. First, a horizontal strike was blocked by Yu Zhao, and then the figure of King Gazer disappeared. At this moment, Yu Zhao also used her memory to see where King Gazer would appear, and then she blocked it with her sword horizontally. As expected, King Gazer appeared above. The other party stopped attacking when they saw their attack blocked by Yu Zhao. At this moment, Torini announced, the winner of this duel is Limru Ternpist. I didn't expect you to be able to block this move. I know your character now, King Gazer patted Yu Zhao's shoulder. When I was practicing with Bai Lao, he often used this trick. Upon hearing Yu Zhao's words, King Gazer seemed to understand who this Bai always was. Later, Bai Lao appeared in front of the two of them. Indeed, it's you, Lord Sword Ghost, said King Gazer respectfully. I didn't expect that the little ghost who got lost back then is now even more powerful than me, Bai Lao said, looking at King Gazer with a relieved expression on his face. They chatted without a word, and when they had dinner in the evening, King Gazer revealed another purpose of his trip. He hopes to form an alliance with Yu Zhao. According to him, the current demon city will definitely become a country behind it, and he chose to ally with Yu Zhao to acknowledge the existence of the demon empire. Of course, with the help of such a country, this magical city will develop faster, and I believe it will soon become a country. Of course, Yu Zhao couldn't help but hope for this. Although he is strong enough to turn the city into a country now, it will definitely be difficult to rely solely on himself. But the arrival of King Gazer was different, so forming an alliance with him would still bring her many benefits. As for the name of this country after the alliance, it is called the Federal State of Jura Tenpit. For this name, Zun truly deserves to be Lord Limlu. And Ligreb believed that since the country is called the Federal State of Jura Tenpit, the city's name should be Limru, the central city of Limru. Zun Hongwan and others expressed their support for this, but did not give Yu Zhao a chance to refuse at all. Such a shameful name made Yu Zhao somewhat embarrassed. A few days later, King Gazer arrived again and brought a specialty to Yu Zhao. As for this specialty, it was named Besta. Besta had a competitive relationship with Kaijin before, but since Kaijin left, Besta was alone. This time King Gazer brought Besta to help Yu Zhao with his work. This was a great help for Yu Zhao. Besta was skilled in various experiments, and in her memory, Besta successfully developed a potion below the 100% recovery potion, although its efficacy was not as strong as the 100% recovery potion. But it is stronger than all the potions on the market. After King Gazer left, several unwelcome guests appeared behind Yu Zhao, forming an atmosphere group consisting of Gavru and his followers. He came here to seek refuge with Yu Zhao, while the lizard tribe saved by Kanjing, also known as Gavru's sister, was present. However, there was a clear difference between the two. One was driven out to seek refuge, and the other was elected to broaden his horizons. Yu Zhao named Gavru's sister Canghua, and several followers were Donghua, Shihua, Nanxiang, and Beiqiang. The remaining lizard tribe also took names. Gavru saw that other lizard tribes had all been named, and she wanted it too. Yu Zhao saw that he already had a name, but she remembered that the names seemed to be stackable, so she named him Gavaru again. Gavaru, who received his name, became stronger than before, and other lizards also evolved into dragons. The appearance of lizards before also changed to that of humans. At this moment, the great sage told Yue Zhao one thing, which was that she could summon demons, and with her current magic, she was completely capable of summoning demons. Yu Zhao is very familiar with the concept of demons, so she is very excited. I immediately disappeared here and arrived at a place without anyone. Then she recited a spell, followed by a circular formation at her feet. A figure appeared in the formation, with a tall figure, black hair mixed with a pinch of red hair, and a very handsome face with red pupils. The black dress was all showcasing his elegance, and at this moment, he looked at the girl in front of him kneeling on one knee and placing his right hand in a palm on his left shoulder, saying, "Great Lord, thank you for your call." Seeing the man in front of her, Yu Zhao shouldn't have been surprised, but when she found him alone, she was surprised. It shouldn't be, if the summoning is correct, it should be 3 people, right? Yu Zhao thought in confusion. However, she is not the kind of person who can think, she just thought for a moment and then became indifferent. "Since you were summoned by me, let's call you Diablo from now on." Chapter 10. The Emergence of Mutation. Am I back? You are listening at novelfull.audio. According to Yue Zhao's understanding, Diablo was a ruthless person. Despite his humble demeanor in front of Yue Zhao, in her memory, Diablo killed all possible demons that could be summoned, leaving him alone. This also led to Yue Zhao summoning him, and he belonged to the most primitive demon, the Primordial Black, which was the strongest group among all demons. The only one that could be compared to him was the current head of the Demon King, Qi Kulimsan, also known as the Primordial Red. Of course, only now is relative. The original Black has very cheating skills. As long as it is killed, it will immediately resurrect and preserve its original memory, and its strength will become stronger. However, this guy never died from beginning to end, so she has not used any cheats at all now. She just relies on her excellent strength to firmly rank first among demons. After learning about the strength of Diablo, Yu Zhao's idea was to bring in as much of this super strong labor force as possible, and then he didn't have to do anything himself. After summoning Diablo, Yu Zhao had an additional secretary by his side. This secretary was very clingy, but as long as you praised him, he would be overjoyed. On the contrary, if you didn't praise him or said he was not very effective, he would be very frustrated and once thought he was really useless. But this kind of life is very beautiful for Yu Zhao. Thinking about it, she thought of the previous world where she was an orphan without a father or mother, and didn't even have anyone she liked. I worked hard as a painter all day, but the only one who liked me had no interest in it. On the contrary, I came to this place because she was pushed off the hot spring by someone. Life there was really bumpy for Yu Zhao. I've thought too much and my brain is tired. Let's just go to bed in pain and have a good night, said Yu Zhao, also planning to do so. When she arrived at the residence, the soft big bed made people want to lie on it and roll. Without saying a word, she took off all her clothes and went to bed to sleep. In her dream, she came to a lush lawn, with a large circular lake in the center that was too deep to be seen at a glance. There is a wooden bridge by the lake, on which a woman sits cross-legged. The melody played by a guzheng on her legs gives people a feeling of entering a fairyland for the first time. Yu Zhao carefully looked at the woman and found that she was actually the person who claimed to be his Yu Zhao mother. At this moment, the other party also saw her. The woman stopped a solo and came to Yu Zhao, saying, "My child, have you missed me? I think you should have forgotten about me, but it's okay. This time, I just want to tell you that your happy time is about to pass, and you will eventually return to where you should have been. But now, cherish this hard-won happy time." Yu Zhao didn't ask her many questions, and the woman seemed to see Yu Zhao's thoughts. "It's not the right time yet. When you get stronger, I'll tell you everything I know." After the woman finished speaking, she disappeared, followed by this dream. Returning to reality, Yu Zhao was sweating profusely. It was ridiculous that a slime had sweat stains on her body, but the result was that her sweat soaked her underwear. This dream was very strange to her. Although there was no terrifying presence, the sense of unease was unusually strong, as if something terrifying would happen next. This unease was also the reason why she was sweating. Happy times are about to pass. What did she mean by that? Seemingly sensing Yu Zhao's unease, Diablo teleported to her side. He still placed his right hand on his left shoulder and slightly bent down. Great Lord, do you have any discomfort and need your help? Well, let's not use it for now. I have nothing to do but have a nightmare. Seeing such a loyal and highly efficient Diablo, Yu Zhao decided to give him a unique and handsome nickname. Just call him Xiao He. The hot springs were built and the roads were paved in the next few days, which was very happy for Yu Zhao. Immediately, people were gathered to soak in the hot springs. At this time, there were also many people entering and leaving the male and female springs. As for the current Yu Zhao, you don't want the cute girl to be surrounded by a group of uncles, do you? Even though her predecessor was a man, she is now a girl, so she naturally walked into the En Yuquan. The Ziyuan Zhu Lai and others who were called by her were also very excited. Remember that Yu Zhao did not intentionally call them, absolutely not intentionally. Am I going to soak in hot springs with Lord Limlu? I feel so excited, Ziyuan thought to herself. But Zhu Lai was a bit shy. A few people lay comfortably in the hot spring, occasionally talking about interesting things, while on the other side, Gobta Hongmaru and others felt a bit uncomfortable. Only a wall away from the women's spring, the high ground is still designed to be open air, and the playful sounds of young girls from across can be heard here. Damn it, this damn bamboo wall, why do I really want to smash it through? Gobta expressed his dissatisfaction, and Red Maru also joined in. It is worth mentioning that Diablo, who held on to Yu Zhao's most loyal servant, wanted to go to Nuquan with her, but ended up being thrown to Nuquan by Yu Zhao instead. Joking, this kind of welfare can only be enjoyed by herself, and it is impossible for him to think about it. But what Yu Zhao didn't know was that Diablo only cared about her from beginning to end. Compared to these few people, Bai Lao has clearly become much more calm. For someone of his age, these things are dispensable. After soaking in the hot spring, Yu Zhao felt something and explained it to others before arriving at a deserted place. What's going on with this feeling? Why am I so dizzy? Yu Zhao was puzzled, as she could feel that there was nothing wrong with her body but still felt dizzy. At this moment, a portal suddenly appeared beside him, followed by a woman who appeared to be a phantom. However, she gently hugged Yu Zhao, and while the woman held her, she couldn't hold on and fainted. At the last glance, she saw a black shadow pulling her. When she woke up again, the unfamiliar ceiling in front of her, the pink room all hinted at a cute child living here. At this moment, a strange feeling appeared on Yu Zhao. She suddenly found herself lying in the arms of a man in a black dress, with crimson pupils and a handsome face. This person is Diablo. After knowing her situation, she asked Diablo to put herself down and then looked around the room. This room has a modern style, belonging to the style that Yu Zhao did not travel before. Thinking of this, she seems to know something that there is no such style of house in that other world. Did I come back? No, how could Xiaohe be here if I came back? She walked around puzzled, and was surprised when she walked up to a full-body mirror and found the person in it. In the mirror, there was a white-haired girl with only 1.4 meters of blue and gold pupils and an extremely cute face. She wore a white and red lolita, black leather shoes paired with lace short white socks. What's going on? How did I become what I was at the beginning, and whose clothes belong to? Her mind was full of confusion now. At this moment, Diablo took on that classic posture, with his right hand resting on his left shoulder, as if he would do this every time he saw Yu Zhao. Great Lord, you have finally woken up, said Diablo respectfully. She was a bit surprised that Xiao He knew this kind of herself, but she accepted his identity when she thought about it. Tell me in detail about the current situation, Yu Zhao asked. As far as I know, you were dragged into the portal by a powerful woman that day, and I couldn't stop you from coming with her. Behind the portal is a place that my subordinates have never seen before, with various bizarre costumes and many colored boxes shuttling back and forth. The speed is not fast, but it is already impressive for them. Upon hearing Xiao Hei's statement, Yu Zhao naturally knew what it was and gestured for him to continue speaking. The place where we were teleported is a very secluded alley, but in my subordinate's perception, a group of people still appeared, and they didn't take action even if they felt that the other person was not hostile. According to that group of people, it seems that the Lord has lost some precious gold and searched for it for a long time, and in the end, we were brought here. Xiao Hei finished speaking, which was the most he had said, of course, because there were too many things he had not seen before. After listening to Xiao Hei's narration, she knew there were too many mysteries now, and the only thing that came to her mind was that the woman in the dream had said something that came true. She should have returned without any accidents. At this moment, a knock came from outside the door. Sir, could you please open the door? We need to show the lady her physical condition. Upon hearing a knock on the door, Yu Zhao went to open it. Outside the door stood an old man, followed by a married couple and several maids lined up on both sides of the door waiting for orders. Yu, it's really fortunate that you woke up. My daughter has finally woken up, said the wealthy couple excitedly. At this moment, the man also spoke up and said, Mr. Zhang, please show me how my daughter is doing. Upon hearing the man's words, the old man nodded slightly and walked up to Yue Zhao, gesturing for her to lie down and check her pulse. Seeing the old man walking towards his master, Xiao Hei took the lead and blocked him, but in a moment, he was stopped by Yu Zhao to make him not worry. Don't worry, man. Yu is our daughter, and we will definitely not harm her. This old man was invited by us to treat Yu, said the noblewoman. After waiting for Yu Zhao to lie down, the old man felt his pulse. After about 2 minutes, the old man's movement stopped. He said to the couple, Your precious daughter's body is no longer in great condition, but her memory may be damaged and she needs to rest.